Texas is now the second team going to Nashville after playing Georgia. Texas losing to Georgia last week. Vanderbilt up and coming. They're now in the ranks. Texas is going in as big favorites against Vanderbilt. I don't know if it's necessarily warranted, 18.5-point favorites because of what Diego Pavia has been doing. But how do you feel that Texas's energy is coming into a game like this, off of a loss against Georgia?
Yeah, I feel like Texas's energy, if I had to imagine, coming off the loss to Georgia and going into Nashville, where this is not your normal Vanderbilt. It's confident, but it's a little bit worried. And my question was, how worried should Texas be against Vanderbilt? I think if they were able to play, we'll say Kentucky after playing Georgia last week, I think you're worried about Kentucky, but I don't think you have that same worry as Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt kind of has the mystique of, okay, if we blow them out, it's Vanderbilt. If we let them get a lead and kind of get momentum, we're back in this spot where all the eyes are on Texas and we're on upset watch. And people will be flipping to the SEC network to see what's going on. Once again, similar to the Alabama game. So if I'm Texas, I feel confident. I mean, we're still top 5. It's not a game to mess around. I think you follow the program, you follow the playbook to a T. But that's how I'd feel if I was Texas. What do you think?
Yeah, I would feel similarly. Like, I think that Texas will win this game. I'll preface it by saying that, but had they played the game better last week, I don't mean from a score perspective, had they looked better in the game. Because if you watch the beginning of that Texas-Georgia game last week, they were really struggling on offense, so much so that they switched quarterbacks just to, maybe reset something. They're at home. There's not that noise coming in from the crowd that's messing with you. Right now, Vanderbilt, even though the stadium looks like a Call of Duty map, under construction or something, like, it's a tough place to play. Virginia Tech, Alabama, like, teams are losing there. I mean, Vanderbilt's a few plays away from being 7-0 right now. Like, in all honesty, they're not, but they have the ability to do it. And I think that they have something offensively that could give Texas trouble. So, if Texas's offense can get going early against the Vanderbilt defense that is not very good, then they'll be fine. But I think that Vanderbilt will be able to score.
I think Vanderbilt will definitely be able to score. And I think this loss against Georgia for Texas has had a lot of different columnists and people and my friends starting to look at Texas's schedule a little bit more critically. And when you look at it critically, you realize, okay, they haven't played good offenses, and this Vanderbilt offense could arguably be the second best offense they faced. And it's no joke, right? It put up 30 plus on Alabama. It's put up 30 points, multiple times this season. It put up over 28 against Missouri. It's a good offense. It's not the Michigan offense that played this. It's not the Oklahoma offense that doesn't exist. It's not, the Colorado State, and we're past. It's not Mississippi State. It's not the Mississippi State now, right? And so for bringing it to Vanderbilt, they have something going here with this option, kind of read pass option look. Diego Pavia has entered conversations around the Heisman. I think that's a bit much, but I do think that he's really solid. He doesn't turn the ball over too much. He's able to get this offense humming with Cedric over at the running back position. And Texas should be a little concerned about it. I think they can handle it, but they should definitely be concerned given what they've been able to do on the ground. That helps Vanderbilt build in the air.
So it's interesting that you mentioned that what they've been able to do on the ground from every position, where Vanderbilt's offense keeps them in games, even with a poor defense, is because they limit time of possession. Vanderbilt right now, 11th in the country in time of possession on offense, which means on the flip side, they're 11th in limiting opponent time of possession. So if you're Texas and you get off to a slow start, you're not going to have as many opportunities as you may have against another team who has a faster offense. Vanderbilt's offensive drives are long. We saw it against Alabama. If you go off the field, if you're, Jalen Miller, and you throw a pick and you go off the field, it could be 9 minutes before you're back on the field to take another return at it. So they keep offenses cold. The defense doesn't do a great job of stopping them at times, but their offense scoring like that, it limits your opportunities. So if you have a slow start like you did against Georgia, like they have in a couple games this season, you could be in for a tough time just getting back. Alabama had a tough start against Vanderbilt by throwing the interception, pick six, and all of that. I don't think that Texas does that because what's limiting Texas is defensive pressure.
Yeah.
And I don't see that coming from Vanderbilt in this game.
Definitely. And, I think talking about from the defensive pressure standpoint in Texas, I think the story of the week has kind of been, Quinn Ewers hasn't looked as good the past couple weeks. Two of his career low, I think, in QBR the past 2 weeks. He obviously brought Arch in during the Georgia game. Do you think there's a quarterback controversy here? And if there is, does it show its face in this game?
I don't think so. I don't think there's a quarterback controversy. I think that Quinn Ewers is their guy. I think he was playing poorly. We saw just from such a limited amount of time that Arch Manning was in the game that the intention was always to be Quinn Ewers. So I don't think that he'll be seeing ghosts like he was last week. I think it was just a bad game for Ewers. We saw him take that hiatus, getting back on. There could be some rust to shake off that he didn't get fully out from the week before. I think that they will be fine from a quarterback position.
Yep. I think so.
Yeah.
What were you going to ask me? What I think?
I mean, do you think so? I mean, do you think
no?
There's opportunity?
I think so. Let me preface. I don't think it's a quarterback controversy. I felt like it was pretty premature for Sarkisian to put in Arch, because now you've kind of put it in people's heads like, okay, do we go with the hot hand? So on one hand, as a head coach, I'm thinking you're playing to win the game. If you feel like putting another quarterback in is going to kind of provide a spark, go for it. I think the downstream effect is that you start to put doubt in your main starter's head, right? Who got you to the playoffs last year. And then you add on top of it, he hasn't looked that good the past couple of weeks. There could be a little controversy here. I think that ultimately he's going to put who he thinks is going to get him to win that game. And all things considered, they've played relatively even competition this year. It's almost like a clean resume. I think Quinn's better, but in a clean resume, they're similar. You wipe out last season. I think there might have been more to that benching than we realize.
Ooh, interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think Quinn Ewers is their guy. I think Arch Manning knows that Quinn Ewers is their guy. I think had Georgia been a little bit more offensive minded early in that game too, like, they were having some turnover issues themselves. I think had Georgia had some longer drives at the beginning, it could have given Quinn Ewers some time to like settle. I think he just needed to settle down because it just didn't feel like he was in his zone. Here now, if Arch Manning trots out here against Vanderbilt or something like to start the game, I'll go crazy. But
right, well, I think Sarkisian did announce that Quinn is definitively the starter this week.
Okay. It's
been kind of a story of topics, but quarterback controversy aside, keys to this game for Texas to win dominantly 18.5, if they're going to win that way, limit the rushing game for Vanderbilt. We talked about that, right? They're averaging 160 yards a game this year. That's top 7 in the SEC. Don't let Diego Pavia build momentum. Don't let Cedric Wilson build momentum. That's going to be the key. I like it's not going to be Vanderbilt's defense locking you up. This is not a great defense. Get on them early for Texas, right? Like, do not let Vanderbilt get a lead. I think you need to get up 14-0. If Vanderbilt gets a glimpse of like, okay, we're only down 10-0, we're at home, I think Pavia magic could start. What do you think of the keys? What do you think about those keys, and what do you think of the keys for Vanderbilt to win this game?
I agree. If we're talking spread, and I don't even want to talk spread because I think the spread is disrespectful to Vanderbilt at this point. But if we're talking spread, Texas, you're going to have to score a lot of points, but you're going to have to stop them because you can't just outscore them without stopping them on offense because they do have a good offense. Yep. So you are going to have to get out, start early, fast, because of the limited time of possession you're going to have in this game. It's going to be tough to put up that amount of points to cover. I think right now, worry about winning the game. If you're Texas at this point, just because you're coming off of one, don't let the emotion go in. We saw Alabama beat Georgia and then come into this game and lose. Now you're looking to flip the script, lose to Georgia and then beat Vanderbilt. So I think that they have an opportunity. I think Vanderbilt has an opportunity to win this game. And it's interesting how I think that they might do it, and it's in stopping the run from Texas. Wisner's been a good recent surge for Texas in adding a little bit to their game. He was a huge weapon for them against Oklahoma, Miss State, but in Georgia, he couldn't do it. And we saw the offense suffer from being so one-sided.
Yep.
If Georgia can stop them, I'm not saying that Vanderbilt's run defense is anywhere near Georgia's, but if they can stop the run, they can limit some drives, get a couple 3-and-outs because of having to put them in 3rd and long situations. And if that's the case, then you may be able to stay in this one. I still like Texas to win this game, though.
Yeah, I still like Texas in this game, but I think Vanderbilt can play it pretty close. I agree. The 18.5 point spread is extremely disrespectful to this team. that has looked really impressive in the SEC. And so, what's your final prediction on the game?
38-23, Texas winning.
Okay, all right, that's a big dog score. I'm going to say 35-30, Texas.
Ooh.
So I think it's close.
That's close.
I think it's really close. I think people are going to be clicking on the SEC network for this game.
Yeah,
they do. And I think Vanderbilt needs to get on ESPN and ABC. I want to see that come up the next couple weeks.
They're ranked now. They deserve
That's
to
what I'm
be.
saying. Put some respect on
Vanderbilt. Put them at 7:30 on ABC.
Right. Give me. I mean, Kentucky's been on the ABC slot before. Put them on ABC.